And for the very first time, man, welcome. First of all, welcome everybody. Okay, this is Tony Cotillo, Mark Drumheller, my man Nikki DFS Ghost, right? From Win Daily, right? We're all from Win Daily, and now we're doing a special presentation, the first inaugural episode of Plus Money Action, where we all talk about just plus money props and, like Mark says, no chalk, right? Get used to this, boys. I'm getting used to this. And what better way to start than Game 4? The Suns versus Bucks. And before we even you see the social media handles right there. 3 mandatory follows. You see where we're at. You are going to see us pop up when you least expect it. When there's a good game, there's a good matchup. This isn't going to be playing. It's going to be pop-ups. You need to set the notifications. You need to be subscribed to the Sharp app on YouTube. The link is where you're watching it right now. It's the most important thing, okay? So we're going to show up, especially for football season, fellas. It's going to be tremendous. But we picked tonight because this is Game 4, and I'm going to be honest with you. I just want a game. Before we even get into the prop talk, I just want a game. I don't want a blowout. I feel like 3 games, right, in NBA Finals, all blowouts. I'm a huge CP3 guy. I love the Phoenix Suns. I kill myself every day saying Mikal Bridges is a Sun and not a Philadelphia 76ers, but that's a topic for another show, right? But right now, we're all here trying to make some money and have some fun with it. So, number one, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about props. Okay, we're going to talk about positive player props. You see that the ad Plus Money Action, that's what we do. No chalk. So we're going to open this up. So number one, I just want to get into the actual game field because I think this is a Phoenix game. Okay, no matter what the line says, no matter where the plus money is, I'm telling you right now, I think this is a Phoenix game. I think the Milwaukee Bucks got one shot. They already had it. It's done. In my opinion, Phoenix is going to get right back on the horse, and it's going to be over. That's my opinion. Mark, I'll go right to you. What do you think about Game 4, man?
I can't wait. I'm excited. And there's nothing more that I like than plus money, right? We can find some value on the board, take advantage, give a little, get a lot back, right? We want more back than what we're giving up. So we got to find these value spots in this game tonight. We have 3 games worth of data that we've already seen, and we need to kind of take advantage of that tonight. I understand everything you're saying that you're on the Suns, but I thought Milwaukee played well in Game 2. So to see them play well in Game 2, follow that up with Game 3, and then now we're in Game 4, can they continue? The big question is, can Phoenix find a way to slow down Giannis?
That's going to be interesting, man. I mean, he is a big piece to that equation. And he has been, I'll tell you, he's one of the guys, I got to tip my hat. Nick, I'm telling you, I'm a guy who likes to eat crow in a good way. I eat crow a lot. Jigsaw eats crow so many times, it's ridiculous because I'm a hot take guy. I can't help it. I am who I am, and I've always called Giannis a fraud. I've always said to me that Giannis, honestly, I just don't see it. Well, he's proven me wrong because he has been unbelievable, Nick, in this series. He's shown he's ready to lead, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you take a look at what he did in that Game 3, let alone this entire series, based on that knee injury. It's kind of reminiscent of what we saw with Joel Embiid do with your 76ers. It's been absolutely outstanding. You know, it's very easy to say, well, these guys are top 5, top 10 players in the league. It's what we expect from them. Yeah, I would throw in a severe knee injury and all of a sudden things drastically change. So to be able to go out there and expect Giannis to be dropping 40, 15, and 5, and you know, interviewing post game, talking about Michael Jordan's 4 straight 40-point games in the NBA Finals and whatnot, like to be doing what he's doing with that knee injury alone is just it's simply amazing.
I don't disagree, man. Really, I mean, I'm glad you even brought that up because I completely forgot about the whole knee injury. I mean, we watched this with Joel Embiid. You watch it, Giannis. And Giannis, that looked worse. That looked more severe than what Joel Embiid suffered. And this could be pure adrenaline. I have no idea. It could be, but there's so many things. I mean, we watched from a Ben Simmons level of, you know, the mental ineptitude of a guy who's a professional. And now we're watching Giannis completely shake all that, right? The counting in the audience with the foul, it doesn't matter. He's saying, yo, this is my team. I'm here to win. And I'll tell you, even if they don't win, which I don't expect them to do, he has gotten my respect along with a lot of other respect from all over the NBA. So, Mark.
Yeah.
So, right, go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say he's definitely taken his game to the next level. And I think that's really what is going to come down is how do we see this game playing out? Do we see Phoenix being able to wall him off, slow him down? If so, does that open up things for the secondary players, right? Your Drew Holiday, your Chris Middleton. Are they going to be able to deliver? The props we want to look at is Giannis. Obviously his player points prop has been a huge talking point because he continued coming off, a 40-point performance. But a lot of people are also zeroing in on his assist totals because they're anticipating Phoenix being able to try and slowing him down and him having to dish the ball off a little more. Not sure if that's going to be the case because Phoenix also, Tony, as you know, has to keep their big men out of trouble.
Oh, without a doubt. 100%, because they don't have any. Listen, the problem is they don't have the luxury of having a certified backup to come into the game, right? They just don't have it. And they've been injured the entire playoffs. I mean, even a guy like the homie and Dario Saric, not saying he was going to carve out this tremendous role, but he was a role player, and that's what you need in the NBA playoffs, right? You need the role players. You need to go 7 or 8 deep when you have to. Normally you're going to go 6, maybe 7, but that 8th guy is very important. So DeAndre Ayton needs to be discipline. And I'll tell you what, I keep reminiscing about the same spot that I see Monty Williams talk to this kid and be like, listen, man, put your head up, do what you need to do. Like, you can tell that he connects with these players. And that's huge for a 22-year-old player out there to be able to connect with his head coach to know, listen, my coach got me no matter what, Nick. And we just talked about Giannis, but talking about DeAndre Ayton, let's talk about him just for 1 second, because I know you're a big DFS guy. I'm a big DFS guy. And we've always waited for this breakout from DeAndre Ayton. We waited. We said he was so inconsistent, right? Up and down. These playoffs, man, he's been really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can make a case that, we were discussing it earlier today on our DFS preview show, that if the Suns win, which I think we do, it's going to be tough for the league to allow anybody else other than CP3 to win Finals MVP, right? Like that's the final cherry on top that he needs for his legacy of a career. He needs that coveted title, and he needs the Finals MVP. So I don't think they're going to allow it to go to DeAndre Ayton, but man, is he making a case. Going out there and just really picking things up on the defensive end compared to what he's done in previous seasons. And it's crazy to say that the first overall pick of any draft class is kind of the forgotten about man. But when you're talking about a draft class that has Luka Doncic and Trae Young, and a lot of people obviously throwing Marvin Bagley under the bus as that number 2 pick to the Sacramento Kings, DeAndre Ayton was kind of that forgotten about guy. Like, hey, this was the most dominant player coming out of that draft class, coming out of U of A, and what he did at Arizona, it was simply amazing. And they said his game would translate to the NBA. And whether it's Monty Williams, whether it's having CP3 as his point guard, whether it's a combination of both, this DeAndre Ayton coming out party has been quite something for the Phoenix Suns and the entire league to have yet another dominant big man.
It's huge. It's huge, man. You said it. I mean, nobody's going to upstate CP3, right? We already know that. The fairy tale has already been written. It just had that the chapter just has to be closed, right? We already know that. We know where this is headed, but I'll tell you, he's going to be the guy that everybody's talking about coming out of here. He's going to be a guy that we're targeting next year in our drafts, in our DFS streaming lineups. He's going to be the guy that we're consistently going to because he's finally proven that he could do it. Now, what we're all here for, obviously, we got 3 great guys breaking down games, putting our own analytics, our own spin on it from a fantasy standpoint. But now we're going to talk about what the plus money is. And I know Mark's been working all day looking at what the plus money side is, looking at these specific player props that we can look at for this matchup in game 4 there, where maybe we can make a few bucks. So, Mark, I'm going to go right to you. Whether, I don't know if you want to break down the game first, you want to go specific players, but I'm going to put it right in your lap, buddy, because I know you are X_Drumheller. X, don't call X are going to give it to you, right? Rest in peace, DMX. Always say that. You give it to us right now. What's the plus money, my man?
Yeah, right now, I mean, a lot of people are in the total, and I think it's warranted. And I think that, the total by itself is not going to get you plus money, right? And we are here to get the plus money. So I started taking it one step forward, looking at the alt totals, right? You can go under 219.5 at plus 104, under 218.5 at plus 114, under 217.5 plus 126, right? Depending on how far you think this game's going to go under. I think a lot of the people out there are anticipating this to be a low scoring game because we are in a do or die situation for the Bucks, right? And now these teams, after 3 games, very, very familiar with each other. They know the defensive adjustments they have to make. There's not going to be any surprises offensively from these teams. And I think in the fourth quarter, you're going to see this game really slow down. And I think tonight is going to be the night we get that very, very tight game. You know, you talked about being on Phoenix, getting the points, that very tight game, maybe a 1-possession game towards the end. I myself am on the under 218.5 at plus 114. I thought there was value there. You could also go under 219.5 at 104. We're really only talking about a 2.5%, 3% difference in the implied odds. So I think that there's value there. I think this game's going to go under. So I'm willing to do that. Another interesting point on the total that has been getting has been a huge talking point lately is the third quarter. So I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the third quarter has been fireworks in all 3 games. All 3 games, the third quarter, 62 points game 1, 64 points in game 2, 69 in game 3, right? A lot of points. You can get the third quarter alternate total over 57.5 at plus 124 right now. So if you think that those fireworks are going to continue after halftime, you can try and cash in there. Alternate point total for the third quarter only over 57.5 plus 124 FanDuel. But myself, I like that full game under better. I think it can slide under that 218.5 and we can get some plus money.
I like it, man. I like it. 2 things. Number one, I've said consistently, I think you guys have said the same thing. No matter this game or any NBA game is always won or lost in the third quarter. We always know that. It's a chess match, right? You come out of halftime, both coaches have a different game plan. They adjust, and we see what happens. And Mark, you're right. I mean, it's a great number. I consistently have said that this is going to be the game, right? I said it in the beginning. So I will say that I'm with you on this alternate number. I'll go 219.5. But what I will say is I think that this is finally going to be, like I said, let's not get a blowout. This is going to be a game where it's actually close. It's going to be a half-court kind of game, and I really like that number. Nick, what do you think about the actual game total?
I think it's a good spot to be able to take the under here, and we're seeing a lot of action come onto it where, you know, to everyone listening out there, don't be afraid to use those alt totals like what Mark had mentioned. That, to me, is the biggest edge that you can have when it comes to a straight bet, because a lot of times people end up seeing the juice. You know, they end up seeing that heavy number where it ends up being at, you know, minus 120. We even see some at minus 130, some as high as minus 140 on some straight bets. And then it kind of ends up leading you to take away from it. You don't have to. The process is there. You really just have to change that number to your liking. So to be able to shave a point or two to get that plus money, to me, it's a no-brainer, especially with the amount of action that's coming onto it. It would not surprise me that even leading up to tip-off right now, that's 40 minutes away, we could even see a bit of a line movement right up until tip-off right now. So you might want to go and jump on that right away. Under 219.5, under 218.5, both to me are a great spot to be able to grab some plus money action.
Yeah, that's a great point. And you guys bring up the alternate totals, and just as a general conversation before we move on, I think it's pretty fascinating because, and I'll ask both you guys this because I'm not going to lie. I tell everybody I'm not the bet. These 2 guys right here are the betting experts. I'm the beginner, right? And you see, that's why I'm sitting here hosting this shit, Dick, right? Let the 2 guys preach to everybody. Let them know where they want to go. But when we come to alternate, it almost feels like that's always where you want to go. That's where you want to start. Because I feel like these whether it be alternate rebounds, alternate points, alternate assists, you can always get plus money because you're basically creating your own bet. So Mark, why do not more people understand what the alternate, whether it be totals, alternate props, whatever they are, why do you think people are like Nikki said, don't be afraid? Why do you think they're kind of scared to jump on those alternate totals?
I'm not sure if they're afraid, but I think it's more of like, hey, you know, they might not know that these resources are available. Like, depending on what sports book you're using, depending on, you know, what type of props they give, you know, how many different bets they get, you know, they might not have know that type of selection's there. They might just open up their sports book. They hear everybody talking about the under. They say the under is good enough for me. I'm going to bang the under and I'm going to pay, you know, a minus 115 hold or whatever they're charging you, which is really just, you know, not what you want to do, right? We want plus money. We want to invest, get more than what we're investing in back. And I think, you know, you shave a point here, you shave a point there, it can help you. Now, listen, it's hard enough to get the right side of a total or an over and under when the line matures and you have your closing line, right? It's difficult to get it at that point. But I think that a lot of people don't know it's there, and then they're not sure, like, hey, how much, plus money should I go? How far should I go on the total? So they just kind of take the game how it's lined. But I definitely think in this situation where we're seeing so much action, so much talk about the under, where it makes sense, I think, hey, take another point or two off, because the line, the way it's lined today at like 220, it's very consistent to where it was in game 3. And I think the pressure is higher. Like I said, it's going to, as we get into this fourth quarter, this game is going to kind of grind down as the possessions become more important.
I like it. And again, that's why we're doing this show, right? It's an education for everybody, whether you're a beginner, whether you're an expert, doesn't matter. There's some information for everybody to basically control what your opinion is, which is great about it. And I'm glad to be a part of it. So let's talk specifically about player props right now. And I'm excited. Mark, I'm going to go right to you first. I know you did that. We're going to go right to Nick, but I'm excited because I think I found the lock. Help me out, boys. I think I found the lock for the player props and the points. It's the over. It's the over for PJ Tucker at 5.5. Come on, man. Plus 108. You mean to tell me that a veteran like PJ Tucker in game 4 isn't going to get me 6 points? No way in hell that he's not getting 6 points tonight. So I'm telling you right now, that's Jigsaw's lock. Over plus 108, over 5.5 for PJ Tucker. Mark, am I nuts?
I'll tell you, it's not one that I have circled, but it makes sense. Plus 108 for PJ Tucker. He's not a guy that I was kind of focusing on. But I do like the Bucks in this matchup. I do think it's going to be a very close matchup. We talked about the alt totals and the alt spreads. If you think that it is going to come down to the wire, you could take Phoenix at 3.5 at plus money, plus 114, right? You don't have to take the whole 5. And then you can get in that plus money range. But PJ Tucker, not a guy I had circled, but I could definitely see it, man. I think tonight is a night of the secondary players. I think the stars are going to have their moments, but the teams whose is deeper and whose secondary players outperform the other team, they're the ones that are going to come away with the victory.
I agree. And Ghost, I don't know, man. I'm getting some heat on the timeline. It says there's no way Ghost likes that one. So I'm guessing Ghost is not a PJ Tucker fan.
Yeah, I'm really not a PJ Tucker guy. But what I will say is that it actually brings up a great example. So when we're talking about a bet like that, where in this case, the numbers actually add up perfectly, where we're talking about a player prop for somebody that's at 5.5, whether you're confident in it or not, this is more of something that I just wanted to bring up. It kind of in like a parallel and more of an educational purpose for sports betting. Let's take a look right now at PJ Tucker's 3-pointers made prop. Because if that's something that's at 0.5 or at 1.5 and you're getting better action than that over 5.5 points, that's something where, you end up circling both of those and you can really make the decision from there saying, hey, is PJ Tucker going to get to the line tonight? Is he going to have the ball in his hands enough to be able to get to the charity stripe? We don't know, right? The free throw attempts have been 0 to 0 throughout the entire series, throughout the entire playoffs. But what he does do is that he stands out there in the corner, and if he's the benefactor to be able to get a kick out 3 from a Giannis drive where he's drawing 3 men in the paint, at that point it's, well, would I rather take PJ Tucker's 5.5 points, or would I rather take over 0.5 or 1.5 threes? Because to me, while it's not something that I looked up because I'll never bet a PJ Tucker prop, I know that if the points prop is at 5.5, there's no way his threes prop is over 1.5 threes. The math just doesn't make sense. They wouldn't have a threes prop at 2.5 saying, hey, he's going to get 9 points, but have the player prop at 5.5. So that's where when we're talking about plus money and we're talking about alternate spreads and just finding ways to get creative, that's something that I love doing. You get a player prop that's at 33.5, 32.5. Well, our friends over at FanDuel have specific bets that are saying this player will score 35 plus. And sometimes, you're only upticking that by 1.5, 2 points and a half. And now we're talking about some serious value. So if you're interested in the PJ Tucker 5.5 points on the over, make sure that we end up comparing the 3-pointers made prop and seeing is it at 0.5 or 1.5. If it's better action there, we then can have a conversation saying, hey, is it going to come from kick out threes or is he going to get these easy layups?
I love it, man. See, that just specifically went from rookie to veteran, which I absolutely love, right? It's all about, man. I even got our boy Brian seconded to go, yo, TC, Tucker's gotten under 6 points more than over these playoffs career, right? Hey, Brian, I never admitted to be an expert here, okay? Full disclosure, but I'm having fun with this, seriously. But, listen, guys, we got about probably 5-10 minutes left, maybe, but let's just go over. I want to ask you guys your favorite plus money props in this game. I know we just talked about specifically one or two guys, but I know, Mark, you've been looking at this all day. I know, Nikki, you've been looking at this. Let's go to Nikki first on this one. What sticks out to you? You talked about the threes, maybe three specifically. Maybe it be an alternate rebound market, which I know that's a very, very plus wise, right? The alternate assist market. What are you really looking at tonight from a plus money standpoint?
So for my straight bet of the day, it's going to be Cam Johnson over 1.5 3-pointers made. This is one that the boys at Win Daily, we've been betting this one for almost 3 series in a row now, every single game that Phoenix has been playing. We could talk about the fact that Cam Johnson has hit 2 out of 3 in the first 3 games out of this one. He's hit it in games 1 and 2, missing in game 3 by a single 3-pointer. But it's more just the fact that I can't remember the last time that Mikal Bridges and Jay Crowder both showed up to the court and had a good night from the field. And that's where Cam Johnson comes in. And when we're talking about 3-and-D wings throughout the league, Cam Johnson is exactly what that is. And we're seeing a guy that I think in the future can win a 6th Man of the Year award, being able to contribute on offense the way that he is, being profiled as the best shooter in his draft class at the time. He's really showing it on the biggest stage. Over 1.5 threes for me is just, that's the bet that I've been comfortable going back to over and over again, because when Jay Crowder's there for defense, and we saw it in that game 3 and even in game 2 to a certain extent, Giannis comes off the court really early. We're talking about a 4 to 5 minute stint, and he's coming off because Coach Bud knows that he's playing the next 40 minutes in a row, and we need that knee to hold up. Well, guess who's coming in for Jay Crowder when Jay Crowder's coming off the court at the same time, because we know that he's going to be matching one-on-one on Giannis? It's my boy Cam Johnson. So getting much more playing time there, getting the fact that he's going to be able to get shots up early and often in this game. I really like Cam Johnson over 1.5 3-pointers made. And my sprinkle bet of the day, the one that we're doing the pizza bet money, we call it, or the couch change, whatever you want to call it. I like Chris Paul to double-double and the Phoenix Suns to win. You can get that at ridiculous odds depending on what book that you're on right now. Chris Paul to double-double alone is at plus 150 to plus 170, depending on what book you're on. And Phoenix right now being at plus 4.5. I don't want the points. I want the money line with Chris Paul to double-double. And you have yourself a very juicy mini parlay there. That's a straight bet in the same sense.
I like it, man. I like it. You forgot one thing about Cam Johnson, though. Forgot one thing. The best teabag dunk in the playoffs, right? Oh, my boy, PJ Tucker.
Absolutely. Seeing him baptize PJ Tucker like that, I actually had to rewind it. I stood up on my couch. Here I am watching the game alone in my condo, and I'm like, oh, my goodness. Wow. Cam Johnson just baptized this man on live television. I got to rewind that. I stood up. I was screaming. I'm pretty sure my neighbors heard me, but that's okay. That was absolutely amazing, and I want to see it again tonight.
Yeah, man, that was great. That was great. Mark, man, you're up. It's hard to top Nikki, but I know you got something for us, man. What do you got?
It really is. I'm going to stay with the Suns, and I'm going to go with Jay Crowder. I'm going to go over 11.5 points at plus 122. I think Crowder's a guy you're starting to see him heat up from the floor. He's going to be on the floor a lot because of what he can do defensively. And I think that, he's going to be able to eclipse this 11.5. We can cash the plus money. If not, you can just look at how good he's been shooting from 3 in game 3, right? You can play over 3.5 threes plus 194 if you really want to try and get risky with it. But I just like Crowder over the 11.5 points. I think he gets there. We get into plus money with that one. And, I want to kick this one to you guys because this is one that I'm thinking about pulling the trigger on. You talked about sprinkling a little bit, Nikki. What do we think about Drew Holiday? Do we think Drew Holiday can get to 20 points again?
I'll be honest with you. I 100% think he can get the 20 points.
I do too. You can get Drew Holiday 20 plus, Bucks win at plus 200. And I think that's pretty solid value because now you're getting the Bucks a 5-point favorite on the money line. I know you guys are on the Suns, so you might not agree, but I think the Bucks tie this thing up. I think this could be a 7-game series, 6-7-game series. I think it's going to go that direction. I don't think the Suns run away with this one like they've been running away with everything. I think Milwaukee's game for this series, Giannis is going to carry him. So Bucks win tonight, then all you need is Drew Holiday to hit that 20. He's been right around that mark, and you're plus 200.
I agree.
I actually love that.
I
to
agree.
be able to
I like
hedge the Chris Paul double and Suns win. I was looking at it now. I'm seeing it as high as plus 550 on some books. So,
Wow.
Either way, you're being able to lock in at least doubling your money there with the plus 200. Drew Holiday, Bucks win. You spread your units out accordingly. You're guaranteeing a profit, similarly to kind of like an arbitrage situation on the stock market here. So I do love that idea to be able to, and I'm gonna lock that in actually, to be able to hedge my Chris Paul Suns win bet. That's a great call.
And we love plus money.
I like it. Right? Yeah, absolutely. Listen, and the one thing I will say, Mark, which why I like it too, because I still think that Drew Holiday will be the third scorer on the Bucks tonight. I still think it'll be Giannis and Middleton, vice versa. Yeah. I don't see Giannis getting 40 tonight. I think Giannis is a little more conducive, maybe gets like 30, 31, and I think that plus 7 or 8 goes to Drew, which gives him that 20. I think it's going to be more spread out. I actually think Middleton could be the guy to actually lead the way for the Bucks with like a 35, 38 point night. I can see just like he did earlier. So I really like that call. I think it's a great call.
So does Giannis get the 36? That's the question, right? That's the plus money on FanDuel, right? Giannis over 35.5 plus 106. Does he get the 36?
I don't think he does. I'm going to say he gets 34 and 17 tonight. I'm going.
I think we're going to know early because it's it's going to depend on. It's either he's going to hit that point prop again, like he's been, or he's going to cash in on that assist prop. So the assist prop, you're looking at over 6.5 assists, plus 148 right now on FanDuel. It was plus 178 like a couple hours ago. So people are kind of pushing their money in towards that assist prop with Giannis, thinking that Phoenix has to do something to stop the guy, right? They can't sit there and let him score 40 and 15 every night. They got to come up with a plan. People are banking it's going to happen tonight, and he's going to do a little more addition, which, is okay if it gets Drew Holiday is 20, right?
That's it. And we got to think, too, like, Giannis's points prop, it's not like he's been hitting 50, 55 in some ridiculous 60-point games, anything like that. He's been getting the over just barely, and he's shooting 8 for 10, 8 for 14, 10 for 14 from the free throw line. How long is that sustainable for a guy that's, a career 60-point free throw shooter? And we've seen his struggles where he's gone 20, 30% from the line in some games, these NBA playoffs. That does make me a little nervous, because if he's not hot, or at least hot for Giannis type at the free throw line, that you're looking at a solid 30 points and maybe a bit more contributions on the glass and in the assist department as well. Hopefully he's kicking out to our boy Drew Holiday as well. That way we can cash that one at plus 200.
Yeah, man. We're all rooting for Drew. We're rooting for Drew tonight. Let's think about this, though. I think we spent more time. I think we gave more airtime to PJ Tucker and Jay Crowder tonight than they've ever gotten in their entire career. So shout out to us for making those guys legends tonight on the Plus Money Action Show. 100%. But let's do this, guys. What do you think? We got we go 3 minutes, and then we're at an even 30. I think it's like a perfect time that everybody gets set and ready for the game. We'll go final thoughts, a little lightning round final thoughts. So, Nick, I'll come right back to you, man. Final thoughts. I know you threw a lot of plus money bets out there, not asking you to recap everything, but just your final thoughts in general of the game and your final thoughts from a betting perspective.
I think DeAndre Ayton has a really good game tonight. Seeing that it was his first game in foul trouble in quite some time, I think he comes back and has a really good game for the Phoenix Suns, being able to be that defensive anchor that he's grown to be throughout the playoffs for them. And I really do. I'm going to keep on preaching this. I've been saying it since the beginning of the playoffs. The trio of wings that these Phoenix Suns have in Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges, and Cam Johnson, that's going to be the X factor to me, because we're talking about big threes on both sides between Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton versus Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, and Giannis. Both have their strengths, both have their weaknesses, both have inconsistencies. But for me, the biggest difference when we're talking about Pat Connaughton, Bobby Portis, and PJ Tucker versus Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, and Cam Johnson, we need these guys to show up if the Suns want to win this game and go back to Phoenix with a chance to get CP3 his first title.
Look at that, man. That's why we do this show. We just talked about triple wings. We just labeled Jay Crowder as an X factor. Think of it as an X factor. I love it, man. Mark, what do you got, buddy?
One of the biggest advantages I thought the Suns had coming into this series, and I didn't bet him on the series. I bet Chris Paul to win MVP at plus money instead, because that's what I wanted, the plus money. But the biggest advantage I thought was on the bench with Monty Williams against Buds, right? And I just think that it was what was going to carry them in that series, outside of the talent, the great points that Nicky gave. But I really thought that was, going to be the differentiator for the Suns. And we have to see that tonight, right? We have to see that tonight. The ball's in his court. Giannis has taken over the series. It's what everybody's talking about. He has to figure out a way to slow him down without getting Ayton in foul trouble. And that's what I'm glued to the TV to see. I think we're going to know very early how this game is going. And I'm hoping it's going under based on my bets. But, I think that the coaching behind the bench, the game behind the game is really what I'm interested in as far as handicapping this series moving on. Because if they don't have an answer for Giannis and it's another 40-point night, it might be a good night for the Suns.
Ooh. Wow, please don't say that. Please don't say that. My CP3 infatuation is going to be
ripping it up. We'll be shredding our MVP tickets. We'll be shredding.
Let me tell you. All I'm going to say is this is just a strictly CP3 to me. I said it before. I'll say it again. Is the best player in the NBA that does not get talked enough about. That's all I'm going to say. And it's probably because he played in the West Coast for most of his career. Probably because he started out with Charlotte. Nobody watched the Charlotte Hornets, but we're finally getting him seen on a national TV. What he's able to do, and I absolutely love it. I hope they win. I hope he gets MVP, man.
I just miss him riffing with Harden. That was like my favorite part of being in Houston.
That was something.
Man, you're right, man. You're right. And now James Harden's home eating popcorn, and Chris Paul's in the playoffs, man. So in the
he's eating wings at the club.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think he needs any. I'll tell you that. But listen, real fast. Sam John second it says, "Do you guys do articles on the Short App?" Before we go, yes. They will be there, right? They will be there. Just so you guys know, this is all brand new, all new stuff. That's why you need to subscribe to the YouTube page. That's why you need to go on Facebook to the Sharp App. Go on Twitter at the Sharp App. Follow. You'll get all the updates. But boys, it's Game 4. We're gonna go watch it. For everybody joining in, listen. Fantastic. Great comments. Brian C. is Samuel, Adam. Everybody was checking in. Whether you were ripping me or not, it's all good. We're going to have some fun, right? But for Mark, for Tony, for Nicky, Plus Money Action, let's everybody get paid, and we'll catch you next time.